Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Devin Doan here with the Big Biz Show, and today we're going to talk about something incredibly impactful to, I'd say, world history, the Irish Republican Army.
IRAs, individual retirement accounts.
Scratch that. We're talking about individual retirement accounts. My name's Devin Doan with the Big Biz Show, and I have Howie here to talk about retirement, not the Irish Republican Army.
Yeah.
Gotta fire a production assistant.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here, Devin, thank you. IRAs are very important for wealth accumulation because they're a tax-advantaged account in the case of the traditional and the Roth that you can use to accumulate retirement savings that you can set aside without a tax impact. So it's important for people below the Roth IRA threshold to make sure that they're using a Roth while they can, and once you're above that, you can transition to a traditional.
What's below a Roth? What would you call a Rothschild?
I like that. That was good.
What was
the
good?
Rothschilds, incidentally, do not need
No, what
IRAs.
was good? I don't get the joke.
The Rothschilds are
Who's the Rothschild? Who's underneath the Roths? What are you talking about, man? I'm Devin Doan. This has been the Big Biz Show on retirement.
Thank you for having me.
Whatever.
Hey, listen, Howie Crash Font is with us.
Oh, we love Crash.
Who always says about dollar cost averaging. If you like a stock, you know, in the summertime, in the wintertime, you like it in the summertime.
Still true. Yep.
So,
No,
so what's your
database
warning?
doesn't change.
Your warning is a wannabe freaking day traders, right? You're warning them not to day trade, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, we see you do a daily news show. I want to inform the audience of what's happening week by week, day by day, and don't expect much volatility this summer. You know, changing in the market up or down. That's volatility.
Is this inflationary period, the election, going to change things in the summertime this time because it's a little bit different year?
Yeah. So there is potential for that, but a lot of it's baked in. Nothing's really surprising us. Inflation, they say it's coming down. The tonnage of it still hurts. There's no news of a rate cut yet.
Yeah.
There were going to be 3, then there were going to be none. Now there might be 1 this year.
Well, keep in mind also, as you said, you know, the market tends to bake things in several weeks in advance. So, you know, hence the saying, buy on the rumor, sell on the news. So, any chance that we cross into, what are we suspecting for the end of the year here? 5,500 potentially?
6,000 are a lot of year-end targets. Yeah, we have some ways to go.
June of 2019. We were at what? We were less than 1,000, I think, right? What were we at?
June 2009?
No, 2009, yeah, bigger. 2000, where were we 2009? We've got...
2009, the financial collapse, the low was 900.
900?
900. Yeah. And by the way, I just read a target for 2030 in the S&P of 15,000.
Can you think so if here's the lesson. If you look at 2009, if this S&P was a bargain, looking at it now, it's a bargain now, looking at it 15 years ago. Well done, Howie. Thank you, Chris. All right, Big Biz Show. We'll see you in a minute.
the Loft 100 studios in beautiful sunny Southern California. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, as always, we thank you for being along for the ride. I'm Costa. He's our executive producer, Greg Todorov. And the man right there in his short dolphin shorts, a.k.a. Thomas Magnum-like, Sully.
He had OP, I believe.
OP, sorry, I take that back.
He may have had all dolphin also. That was a big thing back then.
But I think he was OP. I think he was OP.
That's our people doing it.
Yeah,
That's the Day Trader Quattro.
Oh, yeah.
Playing the whole thing.
The Quattro.
The Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to Howie Font and the Mick rebalancing. Is what he said. He said algorithmic rebalancing. And I thought all I heard is Mick rebalancing because it's lunchtime.
Yeah. My favorite sandwich.
So Howie, when they do this, is typically when we see a stock drop because of a rebalancing. In other words, let's say an individual stock like Apple or Micron suffers from a rebalancing of portfolio, meaning that we're going to take Micron out of our portfolio, put in something else like Qualcomm, let's say. We see a pretty quick rebound off that, correct? It's usually kind of a dead cat bounce when we see stocks pull back and rebalancing. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so what you see is the market understands a lot of these forces. So if you have a rebalancing, if Micron is coming down from an 8% weighting to a 7% weighting, they had to. That's not business fundamentals. The market knows that, and someone's going to use that as buying opportunity, and that's where that dead cat bounce comes in. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what's next? Are we looking for a quiet summer with not a lot of volatility? Because there seems to be a little volatility going into this first part of the third quarter, and who knows? I mean, summer's underway. Kids go. I mean, it used to be for us. We get out of school. I felt like it was like June 15th. We go back to school September 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's
after
we get out of
Labor Day.
school sometimes beginning of May.
Yeah.
And they go back sometime in the middle of August or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Do those things affect trading and such, Howie? Are we still pretty safe here for the next few?
It assuredly affects trading. I mean, traders have lives too. I'm told. I don't know, and they are on vacation. So I've made the point before, but it does. For instance, this week is pretty flat, and it's going to stay flat. We have a lot of catalysts, though, for the rest of the month and the rest of the summer. You're right to see some things. One interesting point that I thought you'd really pounce on and find interesting is the French elections happened last week and over the weekend, and the French market popped because the government changed in more of a right-leaning direction. Now, when they found out that the lead was not as much as they had thought, the market came back down a little bit. It was still up about 1.9%, but it went as high as 3.4.
I think that you'd be surprised.
Could that happen in the U.S.? I think that happens.
Well, stock markets typically go down during a Republican administration, although economies do better under Republican administration. Stock markets historically definitely go up during Democratic administrations, yet the economy suffers as a result. So I think, and do some research on that next time we see a Howie. Thanks, buddy. Howie Font, Crash Font.
Crash.
Wait, is Howie still there? Wait, Howie, don't go anywhere. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Did the market, I didn't check the market. When was the debate? Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday night.
So what did the market do Thursday? I'm sorry, Friday, when it looked as though Donald Trump, cool, calm, and collected. I don't know what he was on because I've never seen him. So I mean, I feel like he was, the Joe Biden of the past.
Yeah.
By being, steady Eddie, and Joe Biden having a less than stellar performance. Obviously, Donald Trump taking the credit for a lot of the economy when he was president. He can take credit for one thing and one thing only, which caused a broken glass waterfall sort of things. But he lowered corporate tax rates. He went from 39%, which was the highest of any industrialized nation, down to 21%, I believe it was. He promised 15%, but that did a lot of things for the economy. At the same time, whether it's Donald Trump or just somebody else, and I'm not suggesting that it needs to be Republican or Democrat, because I'd love to see a split ticket come in with an open convention for this next election. Tulsi Gabbard and a Kennedy or a Joe Manchin together would be an interesting, sort of an independent, which I think a lot of voters would like. But talk about the stock market on Friday. Was there any knee-jerk reaction from the open air indicator that things went better for one side, not the other?
It's a great question, and when I spoke, I didn't mean to be political. I just the market force of the reaction is all I'm talking about, and I don't think that the debate was a moment of that much of a catalyst because there wasn't that much of a reaction. I think you need an actual result or a shock poll or something like that to really get the market to move. It's still so far out.
But the funny part is the market's moving when the economy is not. And that there you go with the Democrat,
totally
Republican sort of thing. All right, thanks, Howie. Appreciate it. Did you guys react? Not politically, I'm talking about, but did you react to the debate? My biggest reaction to the debate, I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I don't think Joe Biden did as bad as Donald Trump did good at shutting up. Am I coming across? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Donald Trump did a good at being a bit non-reactive versus his old bloviating self.
Well,
I know that Joe Biden has always, in my mind, ever since he was a young politician, sound mealy-mouthed. Like I can't understand what he's saying because he talks too fast or whatever's going on in there. Mm-hmm. But I think Donald Trump took a pot shot at him at that. But the long story short is, what was your overall opinion of the thing? Trump
actually listened to his advisors and his handlers who said,
yeah, because it wasn't Donald Trump that did it on his own, right?
No, because they said just be calm, cool, collected, let him implode, and that's what happened.
Yeah, interesting. So it's interesting to see because right now the market is not being affected by this election or the potential election coming up in November. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about that is you'd expect a pop one way or the other. It's the economy, stupid, is what James Carville said during a re-election campaign. And if you think in terms of the economy right now, here's the problem. Just like anything in law, anything that we get, I'll give you a perfect example. We are still paying federal excise tax when you buy tires. Do you know what the federal excise tax was when it was installed? World War II, as a tax on rubber.
Oh, jeez.
Okay? We're used to it. It doesn't go away. I believe, when's the last time we paid less than $5 a gallon for gas? A year and a half ago, we were pounding our fist at $3.50.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
Yep.
I believe we are used to this crappy economy. I believe that it will get better. I believe inflation will go down to the twos again. I believe that mortgage rates will go down to the twos again. But you have to remember that this economy was shut off like a light switch, and it was turned back on. It's being turned on like a sunrise. A slow sunrise, foggy.
Do you see,
San Diego, California, London sunrise?
Would you?
Doesn't clear up till about 2:30.
Do you see that comeback happening under Biden in another 4 years, or do you think that Trump's going to get in and then the nation is going to say, okay?
I think the only thing I'll favor, as I say, markets do better under Democrats, economies do better under Republicans.
Yeah.
It's because it's the tax issue. Tax money is now repatriated into the U.S. At least that's what the U.S. corporations showed last time, and they gave it to their people. I don't think either of them can do anything about inflation because we still have incredible demand to purchase. We still have a supply problem somehow, somewhere, and we still have a labor pool problem. A lot of people left the labor force. So I don't think that it's going to favor one or the other. Can't everybody decide? I just want something different. I don't want Donald Trump because I can't handle the rancor. I can't handle the constant, like the crap Russia collusion and the dossier. And I can't handle Biden because I can't foresee the guy.
Yeah.
I want something different. And I don't know if we have, like back when Christ walked the earth, you had the Jews and you had the Saracens. You had the Muslims and the Jews. And then this guy Christ comes along. Third party disruptor, now we got three parties. We got the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims, right? We need a third party.
Are you saying RFK is Jesus?
I'm saying Ross Perot, Jesus was Ross Perot.
Yeah, okay. Right.
But what I'm trying to say is there needs to be a viable third party for me to start talking about economy and presidents. Because at this point, Donald Trump, if he gets into office, will reenact pipelines, which will create jobs. That's not going to affect the economy. He will lower taxes.
He'll bring in higher tariffs on countries that are stealing.
Doesn't affect our economy.
It doesn't?
That won't affect our inflation.
Okay.
When I talk about the economy, I'm talking about inflation.
All right.
What's it cost to buy a brick of cheese and a jar of mayo and a thing of bread?
Yeah.
Not going to affect it. And I think the only thing that can affect that is, unfortunately, the Fed increasing our borrowing rates to where we stop borrowing, stop using credit cards to the point where now there's no demand. Prices come down, and then it resets. When do I think that's going to happen? Like I told you, end of 2023.
Somebody knew.
I told you definitively. End of 2023, this is all happening.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, maybe middle of 2024. Right now, it is a crapshoot as far as I'm concerned.
It is.
But it doesn't matter now.
End of 2020.
But it doesn't matter now. We are not modifying our behavior any longer. The open air indicators are that we're going out still. We're spending money, right?
Yeah.
We're not cruising along. Things are still overpriced. We're just used to it. And that's the sad truth. Just like we're used to the excise tax. Just like we're used to daylight savings time, which is a waste of time and resources. More to come here. Big Biz Show. Let's go.
The Big Biz Show continuing. It's another beautiful, I know you get tired of us hearing us say this, sunny day here in Southern California where the Loft 100 studios are. That's where we film this magnificent program. The large financial program, otherwise known as the Big Biz Show. Costa, Greg Todorov, and Sully.
It is significantly different if you go inland 1/2 a mile.
Yeah.
Some mornings.
Nuts.
Like yesterday at the beach, it was socked in until about 2:30.
Yep.
But all day, literally a 1/2 mile in.
Yep.
Like, I'm gonna say, 1/4 mile.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's like the old no smoking sections on airplanes.
Exactly what it's like. It just, the smoke just stops.
If you're driving,
right there.
if you're driving in from the coast, or if you're driving in from inland to the coast,
Yeah.
it looks like there's a big tidal wave coming.
Yeah, it
Always.
does.
It looks always looks awesome. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Corey Perlman is back. He is a social media keynote speaker. We got him from our good friend Troy Hazard. Troy, did you say toupee? Hazard.
Follically challenged.
Of course, CoreyPerlman.com and ImpactSocialMedia.com. Talking about being authentically social. You know, Corey, I've gone from, I used to like being snarky, one-liners, on.
So much fun.
And I would just post those type
Oh
of
yeah,
things,
yeah.
Like, does this dress make me look fat? No, your face does. Just those.
Is that your head?
Which, by the way, is my brand. I think you want to sum it up into one sentence. Hey, Sully, does this dress make me look fat? No, your face does. I've gone from, and I was avid in Facebook in the beginning. Then I went to, which I always call Instacart, because I use Instacart more than I use Instagram.
Instagram.
And I know that we use Instagram. Mary and her team use it heavily here for the show and everything else. But I know the impact, Corey, of social media is not waning, but is the interest of certain demographic profiles waning? Is that what's happening? And isn't it the trick to keep us engaged, because there's money there? If I'm not, there's gold in them hills, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. It's great to be back with you guys, Sully. Thanks for having me. Yeah, social media is not going anywhere. It's just the platforms are changing. And I think this year is no exception that LinkedIn is dominating engagement from the age demographic of 45 and up. So I think they've moved from Facebook to LinkedIn.
Can you answer me? So for me, I am an entertainer for a living. That's what we do. Yes, I happen to help a lot of publicly traded companies, but literally as a business, we're entertainers. Can LinkedIn help us? Is there, because I have a LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. I think it looks very impressive. Whomever put it together, it looks great on my team. But is that it seems to me that LinkedIn is criteria specific to the C-suite people, the sales people, and those in-office types.
I think that's a fair point. I think that you're looking at a B2B network with LinkedIn. And if you're looking more B2C, then your Facebook migration may have gone more to Instagram for sure. So I would say that LinkedIn, but to answer your question about can you humanize the brand, can you be personal on LinkedIn? Can you show a little bit of yourself? Absolutely. We find that people are more engaged with humanized content on LinkedIn than any of the corporate stuff that you may think that you need to post on LinkedIn.
Is Facebook going the way of the dodo, or will Facebook always be there for people, for example, Mike Costa's age?
I didn't see that one coming, Corey. I'm sorry.
But is because I know that Mary still posts for us on Facebook for the show.
Yeah.
Right.
She does our music on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's still a thing.
Well, it's like
correct?
it's like the new version of oldies radio,
It really is.
right?
But here's the scary part. Flock of Seagulls and the Go-Go's were 40 years ago.
That's true.
When we were listening to them, the stuff 40 years before was, hello, my honey, hello, my baby. I mean, that's how far it is.
You guys don't listen to that anymore?
No, we don't.
No.
Not at all. But you still listen to the Go-Go's if it comes on the air. Or Flock of Seagulls or Elvis Costello. So where will Facebook be, in your opinion, in 5 years? Right where it is right now? Or?
Well, I mean, they're owned by Alphabet, by Meta. They got huge backing. You know, they still have a tremendous amount of engagement. I think like you said, the age is sunsetting a little bit, but things can change at a drop of a hat, as we all know. If TikTok maybe goes away in the next year or two, which it could, a huge flock of migration may come back to Facebook.
Corey, where are we as far as the government and the battle against TikTok?
It really depends on the administration. So how do we tiptoe around this and not get too much into politics?
But, go ahead.
Well, listen, we just had a debate. I mean,
Yeah,
why
we
not?
did.
I mean, and we just decided here in this program, we just want something different. I mean, I don't think it's a matter. I think everyone. I mean, you have Tea Party patriots that are now MAGA Republicans. You have granola eating, Birkenstock wearing, tie-dye T-shirt people that will always vote to the left. I think you have those factions. You realize the rest of us. And I mean, everybody you go to dinner with, all of your friends, whether they look blue or red, we're all sort of the same. We don't give a crap about anything, but stay out of our finances, do your own thing, and don't bother me, and let's fix the economy. There needs to be something that goes in the middle. So go ahead and be as political as you want, because that's about as political as I think you can get.
Well, and by the way, I think it's a great stance, and I think the majority of Americans agree with you. And I think that is very similar to think that we want to be able to have free speech, but we don't want to have misinformation out there leading people to the wrong places.
But the problem is, Corey, is that Fox Business is an editorial and CNN is an editorial. I think the only thing I can trust these days is Consumer Reports still, because there's no advertising. I mean, I was just telling Trish yesterday. So there's a new news station coming out, by the way, which has people from retirees from both stations coming together in an attempt to give you the whole story. I think a good example of a reporter like that is Geraldo Rivera, bedwetting liberal, willing to talk about the Republican side, which is an independent. There needs to be something like that in the middle there, and I think when you talk about truth in the only way you can do it right now is you got to listen to a half hour of CNN. Then you got to listen to a half hour of Fox. And you got to make your own damn decision, right?
Yeah.
Right. But some of the social media sites, they're trying to get it right. I give a lot of flack to X, but I will say that I've noticed recently when I've seen just crazy information on X, it'll have a little brief below it saying, this is wrong, by the way.
Community notes?
Right.
Yeah, community notes. Yeah. So I think that's really good. But to answer your question and that point, TikTok could go away if the Biden administration hangs in, because they just passed a bill that wants TikTok to be primarily owned or majority owned by the U.S. And if it's not, it could go away. The Trump administration believes that Facebook will be too dominant, so they're going to try to hold on to TikTok.
Hey, Corey, by the way, Corey Perlman is with us, social media keynote speaker, CoreyPerlman.com. Here's my question for you. With respect to TikTok, is it because the administration thinks the China-owned company is pilfering our information, or are they pilfering our information, in your opinion?
Well, the first answer is yes, that's what the administration believes. Are they? Oh, man, that's a tough answer. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, because it's like they're making so damn much money. Why would they mess with us? But then again, the same argument is, why would drug dealers start giving people fentanyl if it kills off their customer base, right? I mean, I think that it makes it no rhyme, no reason. Corey, we're out of time. You need to come to San Diego at some point. We need you for a whole hour, pal. I really appreciate it.
Come on,
Corey Perlman, CoreyPerlman.com, ImpactSocialMedia.com. Let's promote something next time you're on the air, man. Go hire him as a keynote speaker. We should hire him as a social media expert.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
One of the clients we talked to last week, though, I saw on my LinkedIn page. I was attached to it.
Oh.
Big shout out to the Big Biz Show.
Nice.
Sully was on.
Nice.
You have a LinkedIn page?
I sure do.
Look at you.
Yeah. Voiceover work, of course.
See you in a minute.
It is time for the Sports Biz Minute, brought to you by the great people at Prize Picks. The biggest, best, easiest to navigate daily fantasy platform out there. Just go to prizepicks.com and sign up. Sully, we're going to start off in Major League Baseball. The league has announced today that Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano, he was given a lifetime ban for betting over $150,000 on multiple Major League Baseball games. Happened last year while he was a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Well, that's why they call them pirates.
Well, yeah, and the odds are not good he's ever going to play baseball again. See what they did there?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the NFL, Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson.
Wait. Before we go to the NFL, did I tell you that I'm going to be seeing the Philadelphia Phillies, my new favorite team?
Yes.
At Queen Elizabeth Stadium, play the Mets?
Really?
I'm meeting investors for something different and a TV thing, and I get to go watch my good buddy Garrett Stubbs play for the Phillies in London.
That's awesome.
Now, what I wanted to,
Not going to be there?
T-Pat will be there. I think his wife might be there too. So it's not just me, T-Pat, enjoying a pint.
Oh.
Well, say hi to the Queen for us.
Can I say this?
I'm sorry.
I may or may not have gotten some custom high tops made.
Really?
Good.
With Phillies logos on the side.
Oh, let's see them.
Wow,
I love it.
You'll see them.
That's commitment right there.
See you skip.
Listen, I was born and raised a Padre fan.
Yeah.
And when you have a payroll that was the size of the Mets payroll when they won the World Series, what year was that last, Matt? 1994?
Sure.
Something like that? Yeah.
Padres have never-
No, I'm talking about the Mets. I'm talking the Yankees. Our payroll is ridiculous, and we can't bat our way out of a paper bag. I'm mixing analogies, so you know what?
It works.
Let sleeping dogs spill milk. That's what I want to say.
Pretty much. National Football League, it's good to be Justin Jefferson, the Vikings wide receiver, signed a new 4-year, $140 million contract, 110 guaranteed, and it makes him the highest paid non-quarterback player in the National Football League. Sticking in the NFL, Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, he wants to get paid, and he is not attending minicamp that opened up today for the Cowboys, trying to get a new deal, as they always do, so they hold out. It's up to the Cowboys to see whether or not they want to fine him. He's going to lose about $17,000 a day if, in fact, they fine him.
He wants a new deal?
Yeah, he does.
You know what he doesn't want?
What?
New tattoo.
Okay. That's the Sports Biz Minute, brought to you by the great people at Prize Picks. The biggest, the best, easiest to navigate out there. Just go to prizepicks.com. Once again, here is Sully.
There we go. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Prize Picks. And thank you to the San Diego Padres for making me as miserable as any Cubs fan in the history of Chicago.
My God.
And I'm a Phillies fan. I've been a Phillies fan for 2 years now.
A good switch.
And I'm a homer because of friends, because of Matt, because of T-Pat and Marty, because of Garrett, because of CJ. CJ now brought up to AA ball for the Washington Senators.
Oh, nice.
He's actually playing for the Senators, which
Or Nationals.
The Nationals are the major league team. The Senators are the AA team, you jackwagon.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Trying to make fun of me, telling me, well, they were never the Senators. They were half the time they were the Senators.
I think you mean the Washington
Senators.
Generals.
They were the Senators in our lifetime.
Yes, they were.
When they were little kids. I always loved, for some reason, I've always loved the Washington team. I don't know. Hey, Eric Dresselhaus is in studio, on Zoom, by the way. He's the CEO of S Inc., stock symbol GWH. They specialize in long duration energy storage, and they've got this iron flow batteries that are a game changer versus lithium ion. And I had him on, we had him on recently. Eric, great to see you. I have a question for you, because last time you were on, you caused a flutter of emails coming through about can you match the cost reductions that lithium ion, and it's a solid yes based on what you guys are doing. And this is the first time in history that someone outside the lithium ion world has shown a cost benefit. And I know we're dipping in right in the middle of this thing, but it's super competitive now, and now it makes sense monetarily. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, green and decarbonization is great, but people mostly want to get value and save money, and that's what our battery does. We make it with iron, salt, and water, so it's not only got a great kind of long-term cost entitlement to it, but it's also made with materials that are easily sourceable. So, you combine the cost bit with a lot of concern these days about where some of our products come from, and this has got a really clean American-made supply chain along with it too.
The the fact that you guys in this game are competing with this industry standard for so long, and we always talk about transition. Are we ready? Are we there yet? Is it happening? Yeah, we don't talk about the actual physical, lithium ion versus iron flow. How tough is that as an adoption for you guys when you're selling this? Because it doesn't seem like it's bothering you, which means that the transition's already happened in my mind.
Well, I think that people, that are in this industry that are, responsible for ensuring the reliability of the electricity system have been looking for an alternative. So there's a kind of a warm landing spot when you start this conversation. As we build more and more of it, have more of it deployed out in the field, then people get increasingly comfortable. And like any new technology, the early adopters lead, and then the big fat middle comes, and then there are some laggards who will come at the end. But we have so much to do right now against the leading edge of this market that it's going to keep us busy for a lot of years to come.
Eric Dresselhaus, the CEO of ESS Incorporated, stock symbol GWH, with us here on the Big Biz Show. Eric, I have wanted to ask you this since I first have been lucky enough to interview you. Is there a Mr. or Mrs. Ironflow? Who came up? Who just one day? I mean, who hit their head and looked?
Who's the Ben Franklin with the key and the kite?
Saw the flux capacitor and went, you know what? I think this Ironflow thing could work.
Well, it wasn't me, to be honest with you.
Dang it.
This technology was originally kind of incubated out of NASA. And NASA, who has been the source of a lot of energy storage technologies over the years, started to work on this. They wanted something that was safe, reliable, had a long-term kind of great cost point to get to. And then, of course, the materials and supply chain are top of mind for anything in kind of NASA, DOD, think about these things a lot.
Sure.
So somebody in that organization was the original idea person behind it, and it just took a long time to perfect the technology. So, but the idea that you can have something that you can use for 20 years and doesn't lose its capacity, doesn't have what we call in the battery business capacity fade, it's been kind of a holy grail thing that people have been chasing for a long time.
Yeah, I've got to ask, if you think in terms of the Americas, we think in terms of Europe, we think in terms of Asia, Africa, the Middle East. Do you pick those off all at once? Do you take them one at a time? Who's the biggest? Who's the most likely in your opinion? Because I know this is the next step for you folks.
Well, listen, the demand is coming from all over. I was on the phone early this morning with some folks from the Middle East because they've got huge challenges in their energy transition as well. But I would say that, the US, Australia, and Europe are the leading markets in our mind. And there's really two reasons for that. The first is that these are the markets that have the highest level of renewable penetration. So they have the most acute problem with how do I, ensure reliability. And the second thing is those, frankly, those are the wealthier markets where they pay more premium prices. So in the early days of a market, you go where you can charge the most, and those markets are more able to pay than some of the other markets you mentioned.
I have to tell you, Patrick DeHaan, who is the chief strategist for GasBuddy.com in terms of oil and gas pricing, saw you last time. He came on the air right after you. And he asked me after the show, sent me a text message and says, doesn't this long-term energy storage depend on the volatility of the actual energy markets as they stand? And I thought, that's interesting. That's an interesting question, because if it is, it means you guys are here forever and ever and ever, regardless if there's a transition.
Well, these are things where the costs keep coming down and the availability keeps going up, and we're competing, in some sense against things where the costs are only going in one direction. They're only going up. So over time, the value proposition just gets better and better. And you've seen that get to the point now where storage plus renewables is the cheapest form of new generation to make. Now, we've got a lot of old generation technologies that are installed, and they're going to continue to be used for years to come. This doesn't happen overnight. But when you're looking at building something new, you're going to build things with this kind of technology that are going to be by far the best value proposition over the next 20 years.
Their stock symbol is GWH, the company ESS Incorporated, and their CEO, Eric Dresselhaus, with us once again here on the Big Biz Show.
Hey, Eric, I want to know what's next for GWH.
Well, scaling, that's the big thing now. Is it's just getting bigger, more and more use cases, more customers. The more people use the product, the more frankly, the more ways they find to use the product, and it unlocks things in some cases that we didn't even think about. We were down in your neighborhood last Friday for a big ribbon cutting with the city of Burbank.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, and everybody's very excited about the project starting up there. And it's interesting because you've got people from the city, you've got people from the utility, and we've got some of their larger commercial customers. People like Warner Brothers came to the ribbon cutting.
Wow.
Oh.
Why do they care? Bugs Bunny cares because right, everything we do now just takes more and more energy. And how are we going to meet the need?
Eric, thanks so much. We can't wait to get you here in person at some point. You got a little further south, 45 minutes, and you're here, pal. Eric Dresselhaus, CEO, S Inc., stock symbol GWH, of course. Long duration energy storage that's flexible. Did we ever figure out? Why I was so angry the other day? With
No, we've been sitting here with bated breath.
I got to tell you again when we come back to the break. Big Biz Show. See you in a second.
Oh no. In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. To the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, as always, thank you for what you do, what you've done for us. It's the Big Biz Show from the Loft 100 Studios.
Ready?
Casa, Craig Conrad, Sully.
A lot of talk from our viewing audience about Anixa Biosciences. Got a lot of email last time. Amit Kumar, Chairman and CEO of Anixa Biosciences, was on the air with us. ANIX is their stock symbol. ANIX, ANIXA. And the big question is about immunotherapy, particularly focusing on harnessing the immune system for early cancer detection. So I'm going to start out right off that because Anixa is focused on the treatment and prevention of cancer. Of course, we've talked to him, and it's a favorite guest. Amit, when our folks are emailing about your performance or about your on-air appearances and they're talking about immunotherapy, it's sort of easy for us who live in San Diego, and I realize we broadcast everywhere, but we're a cancer center here in San Diego. We hear immunotherapy in every single radio ad, from the San Diego Padres baseball broadcast down to the morning news here. Mm-hmm. But for the rest of the country and the rest of the world where we broadcast, can you just walk us through immunotherapy to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Immunotherapy is a procedure or a process where we harness the body's immune system in a number of different ways to destroy cancer. The distinction between chemotherapy, which a lot of people know about, is that chemotherapy is essentially a chemo agent is essentially a poison that tries to kill cancer cells, but it also tends to kill a lot of healthy cells. And the goal is to kill cancer cells faster than healthy cells. That doesn't always work. The concept of immunotherapy is that we're not trying to destroy the cancer directly with whatever the therapy is. We're trying to use the therapy to boost the body's immune system and enable the immune system to go after the cancer. And that has resulted in tremendous success in a number of different types of cancers using a number of different immunotherapy approaches. And we utilize a couple of different approaches as well for our therapies.
I mean, are we on track to one day completely get rid of chemotherapy, or will there always be a need for it?
At least in the near term, there will be a need for it. But over the next few decades, I anticipate the immunotherapy area will become not only a major component of treating cancer, but perhaps the primary component of treating cancer. And to answer your questions, it's possible one day that we will be able to avoid many of these very toxic chemotherapies.
You as a company are involved in novel therapeutic vaccines that harness that immune system of ours. Talk about that a little bit, because that's the highlight here, is that you have a novel approach to enhance my body's ability to fight potential cancer, correct?
Yeah, thank you, Sully, for that question. We have a number of different vaccines that are in development. The most advanced is a breast cancer vaccine, and it's designed to be a prophylactic vaccine, meaning a preventative vaccine. The long-term vision for that vaccine is that we want to be able to give it to any woman in the world and prevent breast cancer. Initially, we're focused on women who've already had cancer survivors, gone through their treatment, have had surgery and all of the various other things that are standard of care. But these are women that are at high risk for getting the cancer again. And we want to see if we can induce an immune response in these women against the cancer itself, so that when the breast cancer reoccurs, and reoccurs at the earliest stages, 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, that will be able to have the immune system ready in that patient to destroy those cancers, and so they never become a tumor. That's the vision. And now we've also got another program in preclinical studies in ovarian cancer. We're working on programs in lung,
You can do the next question.
prostate, and colon as well.
Amit Kumar is the chairman CEO of Anixa Biosciences, ticker symbol ANIX.
When you talk breast cancer, you're also talking about ovarian cancer that we talked about last time. Is this all the same sort of therapy, or is this something completely different?
Yeah, actually, we have 2 programs in ovarian cancer. One is a vaccine, and that's in preclinical studies. But we also have another immunotherapy called CAR T therapy, which is a relatively new type of immunotherapy that created a lot of buzz a few years ago when it was able to be very successful against certain leukemias and lymphomas. However, it has been unsuccessful in solid tumors. However, our program has some unique attributes, and we're working on this program at the Moffitt Cancer Center. The clinical trial is going on at the Moffitt Cancer Center, and we've only treated 6 patients so far, so it's very early. But we're already starting to see indications of efficacy, and we hope this therapy will be the very first therapy in a solid tumor targeting ovarian cancer. And these are women who have failed pretty much everything else and are essentially on death's door. And
Wow.
We're already starting to see some impact on these women.
Hey, Mike, Amit, I know that Mike's got a question about AI real quickly. Bring up that chart again for me in the control room. I think Dawes and Christy, if you can bring up the FDA chart one more time. If you talk about lung, colon, and prostate cancer, those are other solid tumor cancers. Is there a chance that your therapy, the modality of vaccine, either that or CAR therapy, can perhaps go beyond breast, ovarian, colon? I mean, potentially all solid tumor cancers if there's a fit.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's the vision. The success so far of the breast cancer vaccine in human clinical trials has induced us and our partner, the Cleveland Clinic, to conduct research on lung, prostate, and colon. And so between lung, prostate, colon, breast, and ovarian, those are, sort of the big 5 cancers. And if we can develop vaccines to prevent all of those cancers, that would be an amazing, amazing thing for the world.
Amit, how is AI assisting in the fight?
Well, AI is utilized in a number of different ways, and AI is a bit of a buzzword, but what we do is when we're looking for specific proteins that we want to target with our vaccines or antigens that we want to enable the immune system to target, we're utilizing a number of different computing approaches to look for those specific proteins. And once we've discovered them, we've already discovered them for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. We're in the process of doing that discovery for lung, prostate, and colon.
So the arc of the story for you, Amit, is that FDA goes through their clinical trials, and we're far along on the first one we talked about. Is there any idea in your mind on when this goes to market, and will it be a situation where you do a risk-averse model where a bigger company might bring it to the market, or will you take this all the way to the doctor's offices and the surgery suites?
Our plan is to take it and partner it with a bigger company to help facilitate not only the completion of the final clinical trials, but all of the manufacturing, marketing, distribution, and so forth. They all have the infrastructure to do that. It would be prohibitive for a small company to do that ourselves.
Yeah, because that is the risk-averse model for folks like you. Then you go on to the next therapy, correct?
That's exactly right. Our goal is to innovate and then get it to a point where Big Pharma is interested in taking it to the market. Amit
Kumar, you'll see him next week. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. He is the chairman and CEO of Anixa Biosciences, ANIX. You hear us talking about him here all the time on the program. Anixa focused on the treatment and prevention of cancer using immunotherapy, harnessing our own vaccines.